I was convinced that I couldn't find someone to love me because of what I do for work, so I essentially settled.
Millions knew Ashley Alexiss as a model and influencer.
I got to work with Sports Illustrated swimsuit, my swimwear. It was the first time that a plus-size petite model actually was able to do that.
But behind the spotlight, she was battling a brutal divorce while going through the heartbreak of losing her father.
I was being harassed by him and his lawyer. And I'm like, my dad is literally dying.
Listen as she reveals the twists that turn her pain into power.
Ashley Alexiss, welcome to the HelloPrenup podcast.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to jump in. So for all of those who do not already know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
How much time do we have? So I am Ashley Alexiss. I'm from Boston, but I live in Los Angeles. I am a self-made model and entrepreneur, and I am freshly engaged and a HelloPrenup customer.
Which makes me so happy. By the way. All the things from Boston, HelloPrenup customer, engaged.
Yes.
Where do we begin? I'd love to start off by talking about your career.
Okay.
You have had, as we said before filming, many lives. So start off by telling us what you're most known for.
Oh my goodness. Which decade? Like, I've been doing this for so long. I've been in this since I was 18. I mean, technically I started when I was 15. I was part of the Miss Teen Massachusetts pageant, and I won Miss Congeniality, and I had to do a photo shoot for it. And I was like, ooh, I kind of like this. And I was like, okay, I want to model. So when I was applying to colleges, I just applied to every college possible in California, even though, side note, I had a full boat to any state college or university in Massachusetts. But instead I was like, no.
UMass for you.
I wanted to go to UMass Amherst, but I was like, I can't deal with the cold. Get me out of here. So I graduated when I was 17, and I flew to California, built a whole portfolio, and just started working like crazy. And I've worked with everybody from FHM to Maxim, Playboy. My favorite memory, though, was in 2019. I got to work with Sports Illustrated swimsuit, and I actually got to wear my swimwear that I created on their runway during Miami Swim Week. And it was the first time that a plus-size petite model actually was able to do that. So that was very, very exciting. Probably, highlight of my life right there.
Breaking barriers. I love it. And you're on a billboard in Times Square right now.
Yes. So Supermodels Unlimited, they are a magazine. They had billboards of me in February, and I'm shooting with them this week. And I was like, oh, I'm going to New York. And they're like, wait, you're going to New York? You're never in New York. I was like, I know. And they're like, okay. And yesterday they texted me when I was on my flight, and they were like, hey, we have a billboard up for you so you can actually see it in person. I was like, wow, that's actually really badass and special. Like, thank you. So I'm actually going to see it after we're done here. I'm very excited.
Incredible. As we were talking about before, you've lived so many lives and you've had so much experience, and you've built businesses and you've done modeling. What drives you?
Oof. The fact that I've always been told no. So I guess if to answer your question, spite drives me, like truly, because I remember first starting out and trying to go to agencies and trying to get a manager, just somebody to help me. And they were like, you can't be short and fat. And I was like, ooh, okay, bet. Like, let me do this. And I did it. And it's something that I'm so incredibly proud of, but I don't feel like I'm done yet. Granted, I know I'm not plus size anymore, but I feel like all bodies still need to be represented. And one of my slogans is beauty is not a size. And I think I can literally say that because I have been the whole arrangement of sizes. So I've lived it all.
What advice would you have for women when it comes to beauty?
I think having good mental health is something that a lot of women really just need to tap into. And by that, like, just talking about it. Like, you don't have to be happy all the time. It's okay to not be okay. And, having a therapist and, if you need to, seeking out potential medications or something like that. Like, I'm really big on the fact that if you are confident in yourself and in, like, your brain health, then that shines through. And being confident really comes from that, because once you're in a good place in your brain, like it becomes so much easier to just be like, I don't really care what anybody says to me. I don't care about societal standards. So
how do you handle the intense pressure in LA, looking a certain way, especially getting ready for a wedding? I mean, that's another layer.
Oh, goodness. I mean, it's kind of fun, like, because I've kind of made a game of it. Like, I don't look at it as a negative thing. I look at it more as like a game. Like, okay, you think I can't do this? All right, well, let me figure out a way that I can do it. And being in LA, yeah, there are a lot of big pressures to look a certain way, to act a certain way. But being from Boston, it's just ingrained in me, and I am who I am. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, well, then you're missing out. It's like you're either in, like, or you're in my way. And I've always had that attitude, and it's really, really helped me because I don't allow other people's opinions shape who I am. If I did, I would have been done in this industry a long time ago.
It's a very, very Boston way of looking at it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you can take the girl out of Boston, right? Like, it's just, if people allow others to dictate like who they are, what they do, you're never going to live a fulfilled life. And you only get to do this once. And that's something that I've really learned over the last year. And it's important that when it's your time, you can say, I did what I wanted, and I'm happy that I did it.
You're now engaged to the love of your life. When's the wedding?
Our wedding is June 6th of 2026. Very excited. Really never thought that I would be doing this again. You couldn't have paid me to believe this. But like I said before, life has ways of surprising you, and you have to do what you want to do. Nobody has to live your life except you. And when I finally accepted that, I was like, screw it. Yeah, let's get married. Actually, when he asked, I asked him if he was sure. But I'm like, there's a lot of crazy here. You sure?
Before we get into what got you here, I want to hear about the engagement.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So he had told me probably it was about 2 months into dating. And we were in Catalina. He took me for my birthday. I'd never been. And we were laying in bed. And he was just kind of looking at me. And I'm like, what are you thinking? And he's like, you don't want to know. I was like, well, then why did I ask? Of course I want to know. And he just got really quiet. And I was like, okay, fine. You'll tell me if you want to tell me. And a few minutes went by and he was like, I think I want to marry you. And I was like, what? I was very shocked. I couldn't believe it, because one of the first things that we said when we met is we never wanted kids. We never wanted to get married. And fast forward a few months, and he was like, hey, what kind of diamond do you want? I was like, oh my God, he's serious. And he was like, I want to propose. He's like, I'm going to surprise you, but I want to make sure you have a prenup in place where you start getting the wheels turning so you feel safe and comfortable. I'm not trying to ruin the surprise or whatever, but I just want to make sure that you are happy. And that was probably the moment where I was like, this is so right for me. And flash forward to June 11th, and he took me to this cliff overlooking the ocean and had this whole big grand setup of a big floral arch that was made into a heart and said, will you be my forever? And one of the things that I loved about that was it showed that he doesn't just want a wife. He wants to be a husband. Instead of saying, will you marry me? Will you be my wife? Will you be my forever? We are a team and we're going to go through life together. And just all these little steps have just really made me realize that he's so perfect for me.
That is beautiful. When did you know that he was the one for you?
We'll talk about this more, but so my dad had passed away July of 2024. And a few weeks before my dad died, I actually threatened him I was like, Dad, I need a good man. You need to send me a good man when you're up there and you're doing your little thing. I need a good man or else I'm going to come find you. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to come find you. So a few weeks after my dad had passed away, I wasn't seeing any signs and I was getting really, really frustrated. And I was like, I'm going to reach out to a medium. And during my reading, it was September 24th, I had the reading with her. And she said, your dad wants you to look for lighthouses. And I'm like, where am I going to find a lighthouse in the middle of LA? Like, what do you mean he wants me to look for lighthouses? And she was like, well, you're having trouble seeing signs. So your dad really wants to give you something that he knows when you see it, you're not going to question it. I was like, okay, cool. Thanks, Dad. Like, hi. So 3 days later, on September 27th, I went out one night with one of my friends and I met my fiance and we were talking and he was telling me where he was from. He asked me where I was from. And I said, I'm from Boston. He's like, oh, that's so cool. He's like, last time I was in Boston, I got one of my tattoos there. And he rolls up his sleeve and on his wrist, he has a lighthouse. And I was like, Dad? Like, are you kidding? And sorry. Yeah, see, Dad was like, I wasn't kidding. And literally, I went white. And he goes, are you all right? I was like, so we just met, but do you believe in mediums? And luckily, I actually had that recorded, that call. So I was like, I split it up and I sent it to him. And I was like, I'm not crazy. She really did say this. Like, this really happened. Wow. So that's when I knew. So I knew 3 days into meeting him. The easiest thing that I've ever done. And he makes me better. He makes me happy. He loves me for everything I am and everything that I'm not. And he loves my dog. And he also accepts me going through grief, which is something that I was really nervous that I wasn't going to be able to find. Because when I got back into dating, I was like, I don't know if this was right, because you have to tackle meeting someone, learning all these new things about them, and then you put grief on top of that. And it made me really nervous. And I'm glad I only had to do a one and done because he's made it so easy.
I want to rewind the tape a little bit and talk about your first marriage.
Yeah.
So
let's get comfy.
Give us a little bit of background on your ex-husband.
I have been previously married. I met my ex-husband when I was 20 years old. I was, when you think about when you're 20 years old, like, what do you really know? But also in that place, you think you know the world. You've experienced life. And we were together for 11 years total. We were married for, I did the math last night because I was like, I want to make sure that I have the right numbers. We were married for 35 months. And it was an interesting time in my life because it was my whole 20s. And I was convinced that I couldn't find someone to love me properly because of what I do for work, being a model. And, a lot of my modeling is lingerie based. And I was told, like, nobody would love me, that, I'm always showing my body. Like, I was basically convinced that I was unlovable. So I essentially settled for who was able to love me. I'm not even really sure that I can truly say that, but flash forward to me being 31, and I finally came to terms with I am a child-free by choice woman. And that's something that I've always been very true to, but never spoke it publicly. And when I told him, all hell broke loose. And I filed for divorce out of caring for him. I didn't want to waste his time. If he wanted to be a father, he deserved to be a father. And I was punished for it. And I lost everything that I worked for since I was 17. So.
And you did not have a prenup when you got married?
I did not have a prenup. I asked for one, and I was told, Ash, I have known you since we were 20 years old. I've watched you build everything. I would never, ever take that from you. And I trusted him. And I'm not a woman of regrets, but that is definitely something that I do regret. I wish I listened to my intuition.
How did that feel for you, being the one, you met this guy at 20, right?
Yeah, my frontal lobe wasn't fully developed.
But then you had the sensibility to say, I have these assets, I've built this business, this persona, I want to protect all of that with a prenup, but then to be rejected. How did that feel?
A lot of times it felt like, especially in this instance, that I just wasn't heard. I was listened to be responded to. I wasn't being listened to be heard. And it was always kind of, he knew best. He's the man. Very societal, like, oh, the man knows everything. The man has the power. Well, then why was I taking care of you? Like, isn't the man supposed to take care of his wife? Like, you really want to go down that road? But I was very afraid of my own voice. I would hear it in my head, but I couldn't bring myself to say the words. So I kept myself pretty quiet for a while.
It's an interesting, it's interesting to have someone who is so publicly confident and so body confident and has this career and has built these companies, but then to feel on the inside in your most personal, intimate of relationships that you don't have a voice.
Yeah, I mean, it's very frustrating when you're in that situation because it's like you're between a rock and a hard place. And a lot of my friends were like, Ash, you need a prenup. I mean, I built everything that I have. Like, I didn't come from generational wealth. I didn't come from any type of inheritance. Like, everything that I have, I did it by myself. And they're like, you need to protect that. You need to protect that. Like, yeah, okay, he's a great guy. Although a lot of them didn't actually like him, but they put up with him because, hey, your best friend's in love and wants to get married. Like, you're going to show up for her. But they were like, just protect yourself and protect him too. It's not like a selfish thing. You're protecting the both of you. And one of the things that I like to say, because people are like, oh, prenups, you're planning the divorce before you're even married. Okay, if you're driving and you wear a seatbelt, you are not wearing a seatbelt with an anticipation to crash. You are wearing a seatbelt in the event that you do crash. And it is the same exact thing. And it's also, if you can't have that conversation of finances and assets and how you want to be able to separate them if something were to go wrong, because life happens, then maybe you shouldn't be marrying that person, because that's one of the most vulnerable conversations that you can have with your partner.
When you were going through this process of marrying this person, did you feel completely confident in the decision, or did you have any?
No. There were many times where I thought, I shouldn't be doing this, but I felt that I had an obligation. And then I remember being a couple of months into the marriage and actually looking up annulment stipulations. And I had confided in a couple people about it, and they were like, marriage is hard, marriage is work, it'll get better. And I tried to stick it out, but I was probably the most unhappy I've ever been in my life in that marriage. I wasn't seen, I wasn't heard, I wasn't appreciated, I wasn't respected, I wasn't loved in a way that I feel love, which is through little romance, little gestures. I don't need anything crazy, but, flowers every now and again. Like, I mean, my current fiance will get me flowers just because he went to the gym that day. Like, hey, I was thinking of you. And it's the little ways of how they show up for you. Like, to be seen, to be loved is to be seen. And I was not seen in my first marriage.
Tell me a little bit about the what you were looking to protect. I want to capture kind of the gravity of the why a prenup was so important for you in that situation.
Yeah, so I have been a big person on creating a savings since I was 11 years old. So I would always put a certain percentage of paychecks or, jobs or whatever that I would do into that account. So that was like the big one. Like, obviously, like I want to be able to buy nice things. I have very expensive taste. But we owned 2 homes, and we had cars and dogs and stocks and bonds and crypto. I mean, you name it, I had it. And I miss it. But, sometimes you got to go through really, really hard shit to learn. I wanted to protect myself as a business, being a model. I myself in my own business, but then I also had created a business called Alexiss Swimwear. And Alexiss Swimwear was the most inclusive USA-made swimwear brand. We went from an A cup to an L, and went from a small to a 6X. And that's probably one of the proudest things that I've ever done, because I was able to really make women feel confident and comfortable and sexy. And every day I would wake up to tons of messages and stuff. Just, oh, thank you so much for creating this. It was out of this world. So I really wanted to protect that. That was my baby. It became a multi-million-dollar business in about 2 years. Like, I was so proud of that. I built it from the ground up. I did everything from design to marketing to customer care to inventory. I mean, I was a one-stop shop. Yes, my ex-husband helped a lot in the process. Granted, he didn't really have much of a choice. Like, we are a team, but that's something that I knew that I wanted to protect when we started talking about prenups, because I created that business 3 years before we got married, and I mean, it was a baby to me. You want to protect the baby.
What happened in the divorce?
Oof. So the divorce was, when I tell this story, like, I feel like your head is going to explode. This is like the first time that I'm actually talking about it. So we separated in August of 2021. I moved back to LA, and we had a conversation where we were going to try to work things out, but I was like, I still don't want kids. It's not going to change. And he was just not putting in effort. And I was like, what am I doing? And I had said something along the lines of like, this is causing me a lot of depression. And he said, well, it's really hard to love you if you can't love yourself. And the next morning I filed for divorce. So I submitted everything within 3 weeks, all the discovery, everything, all the financial documents, had them put in touch with my accountant, you name it, everything was done. I was like, let's freaking go. A week after all my documents were sent in, he still hadn't sent in a lick of information. I got an email from my lawyer. He wanted alimony, court and lawyer fees paid for, and he wanted me to go through everything that I had purchased, over $500, list it, what I purchased it for, and what it was currently worth, because he wanted half. And I snapped, full crash out, because I had to leave this beautiful home that I put most of the money into, renovated it, made it our dream home, and it was almost paid off. And I left that to move to LA, and I had to buy everything new. You tell me I have to go through everything that I just purchased to have a home that I'm proud of, what it's worth, because you want half? How does that make sense? So I was pissed, and I really just felt taken advantage of. I gave him a wonderful life. I took him around the world 20 times in business class to the most exotic places in the world. And, I always listened to him about things that would make his life better. For instance, like for his job, he's always having to book appointments and stuff like that. So for Christmas one year, I bought him a Tesla. And so this way he could work while having, no hands on the wheel. And you know what I got for that Christmas? Now, let me forefront for this. And I don't know if you're going to like this or not, but I'm a very left-leaning liberal human being. I do not like guns. Everybody who knows me knows I do not like guns. For Christmas that year, I got a pink gun. Talk about not hearing me. And it was interesting because right before he gave it to me, he said, I don't know if you're going to like this. That was my big gift. I got you a car. You got me a gun. Granted, I don't need something luxurious, but it was almost insulting because I'm like, you're not hearing me. I should have actually asked for that in the divorce. But anyways, we get further into it, and he was just dragging his feet. He would not submit his stuff. I'm like, what is going on? And I'm paying out, $40,000, $50,000, like just keeps going because I'm having to pay every time I'm asking my lawyer to reach out to his lawyer. I go to Pennsylvania for a court date, and we are in front of a judge, and we saw his taxes finally. And what he claimed he made was insane to me. And the judge even said, so this is what we're dealing with. And they were asking for $1 million check from me. I was like, in that moment, I would say was the most hurtful out of the 11 years because it made me feel like I wasn't a human being. It made me feel like I was a cash cow and that I was an object. And I was just someone to potentially give him a baby. And that's all that I was seen for. And luckily, we were able to push aside the check and whatnot. But fast forward, now we're 2 years into the divorce. Still no movement. Like, we're going back and forth. Nothing's working. And I'm just like, my head is going to explode. My dad got really, really sick. My dad had cancer. And he started to not finally, but he started to go down. And I emailed my lawyer and I said, hey, listen, I need some time. I don't want to be focused on this. I want to be focused on my dad. Granted, one of the biggest driving forces for me for this divorce was to get it done before my dad died because I wanted him to pass knowing that his little girl was okay because he was so furious. He was so, so angry at this. And my dad passed, and I was being harassed by him and his lawyer, being told that I need to respond, that I am causing prejudice against him by not responding. I'm like, my dad is literally dying. A month after my dad died, I got an email. I had 48 hours to respond to their offer, or they were taking me to court. At that point, I was just withered away. I didn't do what I intended to do, which was have it done before my dad died. I didn't care anymore. Okay, I built it once, I can build it again. And I just said, okay. And I think that speaks volumes as to who he is. He has since said it was all his lawyer, it wasn't him. But anyone who knows lawyers, you have to talk to your client before you are talking to the opposing party. So it is what it is. I'm still here. I'm still kicking. I still believe in love. Just with a prenup.
How are you feeling after you got married?
After I got married, I was like, okay, I did it. But it wasn't the feeling of, ooh, I just married my best friend. Publicly, I showed that. People, how's married life? Oh, nothing's changed. It was more, I felt like I had to protect something and lie, essentially, to not be like, oh shit, I just spent a whole lot of money for the wrong thing. And my gut was telling me, like, what are you doing? Now let's rewind. I'm actually going to tell you a story of what happened the day before our wedding. And again, another mind-blown moment. So I had already been flustering back and forth about am I doing the right thing? This was hard. Like, wedding planning can really make you question what the hell you're doing. And I went through a lot with his family. They did not respect me. They were very, very toxic. And I'm such a person where I try and treat people how I wish to be treated. So I included, his sisters in the bridal party, and, made sure to get advice from his mom and stuff like that, even though I didn't want it. Like, I wanted to be a bride and plan a wedding with my fiance. Like, that's all I wanted. I didn't want so many cooks in the kitchen. Well, his mom and his sister were just very vile human beings to me. Like, all the time there was something. His sister ended up getting pregnant, and she had a beautiful baby girl, and I was like, we don't want her in the wedding. Like, I'm sorry. We don't want babies at the wedding. Like, I don't want a crying infant in the middle of my vows. And he agreed. And the day before we got married, we were doing our rehearsal walkthrough. And his mom walks down, and then she says, okay, and then who's going to give me the baby? And I say, what? Now, we had agreed the baby wouldn't be part of the ceremony. The baby would come for the reception so we can get photos with her and stuff like that, because he was the godfather. Like, okay, marriage is about compromise, right? Fine. But now you're telling me the baby's going to be at the ceremony. So I ran away, and I was just like, I just need a minute. Let me take a minute. We're getting married in 16 hours. I don't want to freak out on anyone. I don't want to say something I don't mean. I'm a very cool, calm, and collected human being. So I sat on the curb, and I had my head at my hands, and his mom comes chasing after me. And she grabs me by my wrists, and she's like, you're going to talk to me. I'm like, please, 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 just give me a minute. And my best friend came, and she was like, Ashley just needs a minute. I've known her for 20 years. She just needs a moment to compose her thoughts. They ended up getting to a fight. They called each other all kinds of words. And then punches were thrown between my best friend, the mother, and the sister the day before my wedding, in front of our officiant, in front of our venue. And I'm still, but mind you, all this is happening, I'm still sitting there crying into my hands on the curb. Like, it was so bizarre. And then they had the audacity to blame my best friend. She wasn't the one who threw the first punch, I'll tell you that much. Like, if that was not the most signiest sign of do not get married, and then during the wedding, our cake fell before I even got to see it. By the time I saw a cake, it was a big fake cake, and they created like this like little piece so we could cut into it. My dress caught on fire. It rained. It was, I mean, I had penguins, so that was cool. But yeah, it was all the signs like, don't do this. And that is something that I have heard chirping in my head like throughout my whole marriage. Like, you should have known. But I was already in it. Like, I was almost like, damn, I wish our officiant forgot to mail in the marriage license. But
you had the intuition.
Yes. I was 26 years old, and I was constantly being told that I didn't know what I wanted and that my mind would change, especially when it came to like the kid thing and stuff like that. So anytime I thought of something that was like a big decision in my life, and getting married, possibly getting divorced, an annulment, I always was made to second guess myself and my gut, because I was told you're gonna change your mind, you're gonna grow out of this. Things, life changes you. Yes, I will say that is the one thing that's true. But don't go against your gut. Like, your body literally knows before you do. If I just listened to myself, I could have saved myself over $100,000 like on that damn divorce. So I do. I kick myself in the ass a lot about it, but it is what it is. It's part of my story. It's part of my many lives.
If you could extract one lesson, like top 3 lessons, I'll give you 3 from that marriage, what would those be?
Trust your gut. That's the big highlight. Just love isn't always enough. And operate as a team. Like when you are with your partner, it is not you two against each other. It is you two against the world. And if I knew those 3 things, I wouldn't have married him. I would have waited for this one. But it's just, again, it all stems down to just trust your intuition, trust your gut.
What advice would you have for a woman who's engaged, who's like on the fence? Like, I love this guy, but something feels off.
Do not get married. Absolutely. A lot of people think that getting married is just about the wedding. Hi, I'm one of them. I was that person. I truly believe that I got married because, one, you're together for so many years. That's what's expected of you. And every girl wants to have a wedding. Who doesn't want the big fancy dress and all the fun things? I got married to have a wedding. I knew that that wasn't my person. I tried to convince myself. I tried to convince everybody that was my person. It was not my person. If you have doubts, you are going to spend so much money getting out of it because chances are there is something in you that is telling you that this person is not right for you. And whether that is with a prenup, you're going to spend money on that. Without a prenup, you're going to spend a lot more money. Like, what's the point? There's no rush. Like, and a piece of paper doesn't dignify your marriage. Or, like, there's no thing that you need to have a piece of paper to say you're husband and wife. Like, yeah, I will call this man my husband. And I will mean it with my full chest. I don't care what anybody else says about it. It doesn't matter to me. That is my person. That is the love of my life. How you view it, that's on you. But if you don't want to claim that person as your own, like your ride or die, don't do it. Just don't do it. Go have a party with your girlfriends.
Why do you think you wouldn't sign a prenup?
I don't think that it was with malicious intent that he didn't want to sign a prenup. I believe that he felt like he was able to control my thoughts because he had done so well. We went through a lot of on again, off again. He was with other women. He would tell me often I was not his type. The women that he would lust after were complete polar opposites of me. It was all like this power dynamic to like keep me in my place. And I truly believe like he felt like he could just do what he wanted to me. And I would stay because that is what I had shown. I will take accountability for that. I did not punish his actions. I enabled it. So I do take responsibility for that because I didn't listen to myself.
Where do you think that came from?
Not listening to myself? I'm not really sure. I think it would be from just kind of society constantly telling you. As a woman, you don't know what you want. As a woman, you have to have a man lead. As a woman, a man knows best. Like, when you're berated with that, and especially being in my industry, like, where men are like this superpower, it picks at you. And it's eventually you're just like, okay, fine. I don't want to fight. I'm exhausted. Like, let me worry about that later. And you never really get around to it. And then there you are. You're kind of just rolling over and letting whatever happen to you.
Let's switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about amazing men. Let's talk about your dad for a minute.
Oh. Okay.
Tell me about your dad.
Oh. So my dad was me. I stole his whole face. If you just threw a blonde wig on him, we would be twins.
I've seen pictures and that is true.
Yes. My dad, what an incredible man. I will say, my dad and I's relationship wasn't always wonderful. Growing up, it was just my mom and I. My parents got divorced when I was 2, and my dad worked a lot. And I was kind of the little kid that was waiting at the window, waiting for her dad to come pick her up, and he didn't show up. When I got to be old enough and in my teens, I tried to have a relationship with him, but he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready to put in the effort. And so I kind of wrote him off. We went years without speaking. And it was tough because I would see my friends have relationships with their dad and stuff, and I didn't understand why my dad didn't want to have a relationship with me. But I went through life, and every now and again we would check in and stuff, but it was more like acquaintances checking in. Fast forward to me getting engaged the first time. And I called him and I just told him, hey, your little girl's getting married. Just wanted to let you know. He took us out to dinner, and at the end of that dinner, he said, I would really like to take you out and just have a conversation, just the 2 of us. So we did a few weeks later, and he said, Ash, I have not been the dad that you deserved. I know I can only say so much, but I would really like for us to build a relationship because I don't want you going through the rest of your life feeling like you never had a dad. And I want to apologize for that. And in that moment, it was everything that I wanted. He took accountability. It wasn't on me. A lot of times I felt like it's my fault, because I'm not reaching out to him. Phone works both ways. No, he took it all, and I took it with a grain of salt because I was nervous to get my hopes up. But he kept showing up. And then when he kept showing up, I kept showing up. It's like him and I were always about just match energy. And we built this incredible relationship where we were doing annual daddy-daughter trips to Universal and, going on the same roller coaster 7, 8 times. And it was so magical, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't long enough. It really wasn't. I do believe that he wanted to protect me as much as he could, witnessing going through the divorce and stuff like that. And him dying, I do really feel like the reason why he brought Brodie, my fiance, into my life was because he knew that he would protect me now that my dad no longer could. And it's hard because no one's ever going to measure up to my dad. But speaking of amazing men, my fiance is pretty close, so.
Brodie seems amazing.
He's a good egg.
What would your dad think of Brodie?
I hate so much that my dad's never going to meet Brodie. I hate that Brodie can never know my dad. I hate knowing that no matter what, there's nothing I can do to change that. They will never meet. And it is the most difficult thing to come to grasps with. But he would love him. They would be boyfriends. Okay, let's just call it. They would be boyfriends. They love all the same things. They are so similar in how they go about, how their brains work. They would literally be 2 peas in a pod. I hate that I've been robbed of that. I hate that he's been robbed of that because, oh my God, they would be frickin' frack. It's really, that's really the only thing that I get angry and frustrated and upset about is I really have to come to terms with the fact that they're never going to meet. And like, yeah, okay, I'm half of him. I'm half of my dad. So he can kind of meet him a little bit, but he'll never like hear his voice, like just hear him say his name. Like it sounds so small and minute, but there's such an impact to it. And it just sucks. Like he has to know him through me. And that's it. But Brodie loves me, so my dad and I were two of the same. So he would definitely love my dad.
How has that been processing grief?
Grief is not kind. But if you walk with it hand in hand, it's not as mean as it could be. A few weeks before my dad died, I started an online grief diary. And it's actually really helped me a lot. Putting into words and saying things out loud helps me process things. And really talking through, before my dad died, the anticipatory grief. That was debilitating. I couldn't eat, I couldn't function, I couldn't sleep. Because every moment you're just scared something's going to happen, or you're losing out on that second of time to spend with your person. It controls every ounce of your life. Like everything that you've learned goes out the window. And I will say that was the worst part. The grief now is, yeah, he's dead. There's no surprises anymore. But it's hard to know that he's not going to be part of these big moments. And I can't call him when I need advice or to share something funny. Or, like one of the hardest things for me was not being able to text him during Patriots games. That was like our thing. And it's every day is a new day. There is no way to fold grief up neatly. It takes on its own form every single day. Every single day it's different. I don't know what's going to hit me that day, if it's going to cause me to cry, if it's going to cause me to laugh, if it's going to cause me to get angry. Like, I have a little trick of helping me out on days where I'm extra sad, and you might think I'm crazy. So my dad's in an urn, and he has a whole wardrobe. I dress him up. I dress up his urn. Like, he has like all these things for like Christmas, and he has like a turkey hat for Thanksgiving. After we got engaged, I put a bow tie on him. It helps. It helps me feel like he's still included. And it's almost like the circle of life, right? When I was a baby, he used to dress me, and now that he's in an urn, I get to dress him. So, I mean, nobody should be able to tell you what grief should look like. It is personal to every single individual.
What has helped you process that grief?
My fiance. 1,000,000%. Because he doesn't make it an inconvenience. If I'm crying, he allows me the space to just cry. He doesn't say, it's going to be all right, or he's in a better, all the bullshit. I hate those, sorry. Mm-hmm. I hate when he's in a better place, he's not in pain anymore. Okay, yeah, great, but he still didn't deserve to die. He doesn't say those things. He literally gives me the space to just curl into his arms and cry. Or when I'm watching a video or something of him, he'll watch it with me. And it's never an inconvenience. It's just welcomed. I'm never told to not be who I am, which is honestly the night and day difference of him and my ex, because I always had to hide who I was. And now I'm fully welcomed and embraced for it, even in my darkest hours of grief. And I think it takes a lot to love someone that's grieving. I give him a lot of credit, because some days it's ugly. It's real ugly. I mean, I was drinking sparkling grape juice on Father's Day on my couch with spooning the urn. And you know what? He didn't even bat an eye. It was just like, okay, if that's what makes you feel good, then I'm gonna grab a glass and I'm gonna sit with you. And again, To be loved is to be heard.
What advice would you have for couples where one person is grieving?
I think it's really important to remember that at one point or another in life, we are all going to grieve. We are all going to lose someone that is special to us. It's terrible and it's scary and it's not fun to think about, but it's true. And if your partner is grieving, think about how you would want them to show up when it's your time. Or if you're confused, just ask. Communication is so important. Just, hey, what would help you? What can I do? Do you prefer that I'm here? Do you prefer I'm in another room? Do you prefer me to speak to you? Do you like quiet? Do you want to go to a rage room and hit some shit? Like, it really comes down to communication because, like I said, grief is not a one-size-fits-all by any means. So just talk to them. And if you're in a good relationship, a good marriage, a good partnership, that's the easiest thing you can do.
Let's talk about how you communicate in your relationship. Okay. I assume going through a divorce, right? You learned a lot, as we know, and you put that into practice in your new relationship, right? What does that communication look like?
I don't hold back anymore. That's one of the things that I can say for me. If I feel something, I say it. If I'm uncomfortable in any way, I communicate it. I do not allow things to fester. I do not, if there's something that is bothering me, I say it right then and there. And I'll usually preface it to make sure that it's not in an attacking tone or anything like that. Like, hey, this is my feeling. This is how I'm identifying it. I just want to share it with you. Maybe we can come up with ways to kind of put it to bed. And it's helped a lot because I'm just me. I don't have to hide. And I've been in therapy for the last 5 years. And that has actually helped me a lot too, because I listen to the little girl in me now. I don't try to push her away and make her face the world on her own. And when you have a partner that welcomes that with open arms, it feels safe. And safety is probably the sexiest thing in any relationship. It makes me feel all the things.
When you were saying that, I was just thinking, it sounds like you feel really safe.
Yes. Yeah, I do. Like, there's never a doubt in my mind of what is he doing. I remember saying to my therapist, I'm not worried about him cheating on me. I'm worried about him dying because I don't know how I would do life without him. And that's kind of when I knew that this was so different. Because I went from worrying about someone who easily had his head turned to someone who puts me on a pedestal so high that he could never even see anybody else. And it feels like a warm hug. Like, it literally feels like a big warm hug. Like, I love it here. Highly recommend it. Get on board. Like, this is great.
How did you bring up the prenup?
So actually it was my fiance who, when he told me like he was thinking about proposing, he wasn't trying to ruin the surprise, but he just wanted me to get my ducks in a row with a prenup because he knew where I was at with that. It was something that we had talked about like within like the first week of dating, because I was out celebrating that my divorce was finally final after 3 years and 1 month. My divorce was final.
You had a divorce party, right?
Oh yeah, on a yacht. Yep, that was crazy. Yep, and we had a great time. And I had said I was celebrating my divorce, and I was like, oh my God, that's $100,000 I'm never gonna get back. And he had said something like, why didn't you get a prenup? And I was like, thanks, because I didn't already know that. I tried. He's like, no one should ever get married without a prenup. So he was already on that wavelength before I was essentially inserted into his life. So when he was planning on proposing, he knew how important that was to me because of what I had been through. And the fact that he's not, it doesn't make him feel like less of a man. It doesn't intimidate him. It's really special for me. Like, it's like my own little lottery jackpot. Like, I got a ring, a prenup, and a vasectomy. I'm good. Like, I'm solid. I have everything that I've wanted. And we can argue that, okay, you know, everything you went through brought you to this. I believe that sometimes things happen and there's no good reason for it. But I am proud of myself that I still trusted in love. I am the most hopeless romantic human being you will ever meet. I believe in love in all the ways. And I'm just so happy that it happened for me.
I think what I find so fascinating about your story is that it flips all of society's preconceived notions about who a prenup is for on its head.
Yeah.
You're beautiful. You're a model. You had a company. And you married this guy who you asked to sign a prenup, who refused, who then you divorced and took you for half, if not more, of everything that was yours, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just such an incredibly inspiring story for women because I think so many women enter into relationships and marriages where they feel that asking for a prenup is not romantic. Asking for a prenup feels deeply uncomfortable to them in the same way that talking about money feels deeply uncomfortable for many women.
Mm-hmm.
I want women to hear your story and I want them to learn from it. I want them to look at you as this inspirational heroine of the story, right? You are handing them the answer. You don't need to feel like it is unromantic or it is in some way a breach of trust with your partner because you want to have these conversations up front. And I think that is reflected even further in the fact that Brodie, your current fiance, asked for the prenup because he knew it was so important to you.
Yeah.
I mean, what an incredible man.
I know. I think the big thing is that people forget that women are successful. It's not crazy anymore. Like, but when you're asking for protection for being successful, it's almost as if like, whoa, hold on, like, let's pump the brakes here. No. Like, if you're going to be successful, I'm going to benefit from it, kind of thing. And I will say, my ex-husband tried to pull that card. I was at home with the dogs while you were traveling. No, you were working. You were making your own money. Did I come after your money? No.
Right.
Because I believed what you made is yours. What I made is mine. Because you weren't standing in heels for 10 hours, modeling through gallbladder attacks, twisted ankles, everything, food poisoning, you name it, I've done it. And I wasn't doing what you were doing. So I don't deserve anything that you've worked hard for. And I was hoping that I would get the same respect in return. And why does it have to be like men and women? Just as a human being, one hardworking human being, like, don't go after what you didn't work for. Like, it can be frustrating and I can get angry, but I also have a lot of peace of knowing the life that I have built now, he has not had a finger in. He has not touched in any way, any sense of the word. His life is infused with me. From the house that he lives in that was paid for by me to everything in that house has my fingerprints and DNA and what have you all over it. His life is infused with me, and he has to live with that as a reminder of what he did to me every single day for the rest of his life, or until he decides to finally like wash away it all and maybe, you know, work for what society already like set up for him. You know, it's very frustrating in that sense too, because society caters to white, straight, Christian, heterosexual men. Like, they literally set you up for success, and yet you still needed to come after me. I'm sorry that you're a failure, but that's not a me problem. But he's doing all right now, so I guess I'll just call it my charity for this life and the next.
So good. You've done your charity work. That is for sure.
I mean, I think maybe that's why, like, I get like a little bit of a break now. Like, and I met this great man who's just like, let me take some of the load off for you, because I'm traumatized. I am, and I understand that this can come off a little bit bitter, and maybe I am, because I worked really damn hard for everything that I had. I built my business, and he got it for 90 days in the divorce and ran it into the ground, and I now have to do the work to, one, mentally get the negative connotation of it out of my brain, because I kind of hate it now. Like, it sucks. I loved it so much. I built it. I helped so many women with it. But I hate that he had his fingers in it and ruined it. And it's sticky because I loved it so much. It's like, why wouldn't I try to redo it, rebrand, or start another business? Right now, I just want to be a fun wedding planner. Just plan my dream wedding and take a deep breath and enjoy my engagement, because I didn't even get to do that the first time around. I never did an engagement party. I never wore the white. I never did the fun things. And so here I am in my white outfit, my one of 70 white outfits. And, we're doing the engagement party, which we're calling a prenup party, the first of its kind, and really celebrating the fact that I'm doing it right this time. So it's cool.
So beautifully stated. It is so beautifully stated. I think the fact that you're sharing all of this is so courageous. I absolutely love the concept of a prenup party.
It's iconic, if you ask me.
Yeah, it is iconic. But it's also a representation of, like, everything that you are in so many ways.
Yeah.
Right? It's your success. It's your finding the love of your life despite all of the complexity that led you there. Mm-hmm. Sadness, grief, divorce, all of it. And then taking a moment to celebrate the fact that you and Brodie are on the same page. You're in this together. You got this prenup together because you wanted to have all of those conversations. He wanted it for you to protect you.
I know. And like I said, God, like I said before, love isn't enough. And I think it's because safety is one of the biggest things in a relationship, in my personal opinion. Feeling safe to be yourself and to honor that part of you. Like, the fact that I'm celebrated for being me and welcomed with open arms, I want a prenup. Like, I want to protect what I've worked for, and to have someone say, yeah, I already expected that. Why wouldn't you? You've worked your ass off. Like, instead of, I've watched you work your ass off, I'm never going to take what I've watched you work your ass off. Okay, well, put your money where your mouth is.
Right. And emotional safety in a relationship is everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of research to back this. And it sounds like in that first relationship, you didn't feel emotionally safe because I think the way that you expressed it was you were afraid to speak up.
Yes. I did not use my voice. It is something that my therapist and I actually talk about a lot. Like, because sometimes I'll be like, have I even made any progress? And she'll be like, Ash, I wish I recorded some of our earlier sessions where you were just so afraid to speak. You would put LOL or haha or like a laughing emoji at the end of everything because you just wanted to make sure, like, hey, this is how I'm feeling, but if it makes you uncomfortable, here's a little jokey joke, so like it's not that serious. And now I'm just like, no, this is me. You like it or you love it. Like, that's it. Like, take it or leave it. I'm going to be 35 years old. I've paid my dues. I've done my charity. I'm going to live for what makes me happiest. And that means using my voice. I have just been kind of unforgiving. If people wanted you to speak well about them, then they would treat you well. And I'm tired of protecting people who do not care about protecting me. They do not care about my well-being, and they do not care about essentially how they respect me or treat me or, make me feel safe. Like, it's all about them. So, fuck you. I don't care. I'm done. I'm done holding your secrets. I'm done protecting you. I'm over it. And people don't get a choice in a saying how you speak about what they made you experience. It's not their story to tell.
Totally agree with that. And I think you have every right to share what you went through. And I think this is going to benefit so many people who are on the fence. I don't know if I want a prenup. It's taboo. It's uncomfortable. I don't want to have that conversation. I don't know why it's taboo anymore. I feel like prenups should just be every single person.
Should be like a prerequisite to getting married.
If you get a marriage license, you should be getting a prenup, because if you don't have one, then the state will dictate what is going to happen to your stuff. And exactly what you said, if you're getting in a car, you put on a seatbelt, not because you plan to get in an accident.
Right.
So the analogy makes sense.
A lot of people are like, well, prenups are expensive. Well, one of the reasons why I loved you guys when I was first researching prenups and stuff like that was how affordable you are and how easy the process is. Like, it's literally like you select your options that are best fit for your particular situation. Okay, if you want more of an in-depth explanation, you can talk to a lawyer. Like, it's so easy. And some people will say, well, it's still just too expensive. I'm going to tell you right now, I spent $100,000 on my divorce that had no children and yet still took over 3 years. I wish I spent even a quarter of that for my prenup. Like, because actually, I don't know if you guys were in existence when.
What year?
2016.
No, I was developing it in 2018.
Yeah. We got married in 2018, but I would have gotten it like between 2016 and 2017.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I will tell you right now, if you don't have to use it, great. It's like health insurance. If you don't have to use it, awesome. But if you do have to use it, you have that cushion there to protect yourself. You might as well. Life happens. And it doesn't mean anything of who you are or who your partner is or the trust you have in your relationships. It's a nice little blueprint. So it takes all the mess out of it. And if you do end up getting a divorce, there's a lot of emotional stuff that goes into it, and you don't want to have to worry about all the tits and tats and legalities of it. So have it laid out, and it'll be quick. You can move on quicker, and you can just get on with your life.
How did you guys find HelloPrenup?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
So we found HelloPrenup. I just started searching for prenup lawyers and stuff like that, and I had talked to a few. And we were getting quotes from $7,500 to $10,000 just for retainer. And
Sounds familiar.
If you know, the retainer usually goes over. They'll get you with if you don't spend what is in the retainer, it'll get returned back to you. I fell for that with my divorce lawyer. So I knew. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's pretty expensive. Like, granted, I was ready to go for it. But I remember, and I think you'll love this, I was a big fan of Shark Tank for a long time. And I remember seeing you.
Really? You watched the Shark Tank episode?
I remember seeing the HelloPrenup. And it's actually funny? I remember watching it with my ex-husband.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was like, oh, that seems pretty cool. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, we're already married, asshole. But yeah, and I just something, clicked in my head, and I was like, I wonder if that company's still around. And I just put in prenup Shark Tank into Google, and you guys came up. And I was like, I really love this. One, because I don't really have to talk to anyone. Because listen, I am a millennial to my core. I like to text and I like to email. I do not like to have to talk on the phone if I don't have to. So loved that. And I also I loved the fact that you can speak to a lawyer for legal advice. It's right there. And it's really easy to just, like I said before, you just kind of click through your things that, best describe your current situation. And then, obviously when I reached out to you guys just made me feel all warm and fuzzy. And I was like, fuck yeah, I'm using HelloPrenup.
Well, I mean, we're so honored. And I think like, I love meeting our customers. It's my favorite part of this job is meeting the customers. And your story is just so unique. It's so different than, I mean, we have a very diverse population of customers. But I think your story is really inspiring and really special. And the fact that you really use the product is so meaningful to me. When I first created HelloPrenup, I thought this is probably going to be for the people who can't afford a lawyer. You could afford a lawyer, but you chose to do it this way because you wanted to have, I'm assuming you wanted to have the autonomy over the process instead of just delegating to an attorney to then negotiate with your fiance.
Yeah. I mean, I also didn't like since we live in California, like when we were talking to lawyers, they would only work with you if you each had your own separate lawyer, and then that's how they communicate. And it just creates this kind of space and distance that you don't need. This should actually be like a collaboration effect. This should bring you and your relationship closer and stronger. And I mean, there's no surprises with us because we had talked about this before we decided to get a prenup.
Yeah.
We've laid everything out on the line, like financially, where we're at, where we want to be, what our goals are, and how we plan to show up for one another with that. And that's kind of essentially what a prenup is. It just gets a little bit more fine-tuned. So, like I said very, very earlier, if you can't have those conversations with your partner, what are you doing?
I agree. It is a prenup is just as much an emotional document as it is a legal one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I completely agree because it is a very vulnerable thing. And it makes it more vulnerable seeing it in print. And, like, it's not just talking. It's, coming to an agreement. It's about coming, together as one and making it what makes you feel best. Like, all the little things. And prenups they're so simple. Yeah, you can add little things and whatnot. And like I've heard some crazy things because like I'm on wedding TikTok right now, and in wedding TikTok there's like prenups and stuff. And there was like one that like I was hearing about, like a guy wanted to put in how much his wife was allowed to weigh, and if she were to get, I'm like,
this is like the Tony Romo thing.
That is not what a prenup is for.
Correct.
And if someone is trying to dictate what I can weigh in my marriage,
maybe you should marry them.
My point.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm with you.
Like, excuse me? But I mean, there are some great things, I forget what the clause is called, but if you're married for a certain amount of years, 25 years or something, the prenup can go away.
Yeah, a sunset clause.
Yeah, or having children, being able to protect the children also in that, like in the event of a divorce. Like there's so many ways to get creative. There's really no disadvantage.
What was the internal experience for you going through HelloPrenup after you've been through all of this trauma and now you have this amazing guy, but now you're almost going back to that point from years ago where you knew you needed a prenup and you knew why, or you knew you needed a prenup, and that was something that was very important to you, and now you're doing it.
It's more like, where was I? Like, if I knew what I knew now, yeah, it. Like I said, I don't regret a lot, but that is the one thing in my life that I regret. Because, boy, but I expected it to be more difficult, and I didn't expect to almost be done with it in a half hour's time. Like, it was just so easy.
You must have really knew those answers.
I know my shit. I went through 3 years of a divorce. I know my shit. Like, I guess so. That's part of like the upper hand of like, okay, well, I had to go through all my financial stuff and whatnot. And whew, like I could tell you like my tax returns like off the back of my hand, like line for line. So that helped a lot. Thank you for that. But it was just so easy. I mean, I'm at the step now where like I have to talk to a lawyer because we are waiving the alimony clause.
Support, yep.
Yes. Thank God. I've already done that once. I don't need to do it again. Yep. Leave me alone. And I mean, it's just been like so easy. Like, I love convenience and I love simplicity. So it was like we were kind of like a match made in heaven. Yeah. Like, can we get married?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and I am a millennial, like you said, I'm a millennial at my core. Like, I want everything to be streamlined and easy and plain language. Mm-hmm. And I feel like so many attorneys will overcomplicate just for the sake of legal speak. So when we created HelloPrenup, we wanted to make it really understandable so the average person can go through and with no legal background and say, I understand what it is I'm agreeing to, instead of just delegating that responsibility to your attorney, hoping that they understand what it is you really wanted.
Yeah. And I also think it's really important because lawyers like to use lawyer talk.
Yeah,
and
they do.
That's fine. You spend a lot of money on that degree and that job. Like, you might as well use it. I wanted to be a lawyer, so I get it.
You would be a really good lawyer.
I would argue at a stop sign.
Yeah, I could see this for you.
Yeah. But it's just so great that I don't have to have someone try and decipher this for me and then trust that what they're telling me is the truth. It's between you and your fiance. And there's no one getting in the middle of it. There's no one trying to get into your head saying, well, maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that. Because lawyers feel like that's a good thing to do. But sometimes I got my own thoughts. It's crazy up in here. I don't need any more input. I just need you to help me go through the legality of it. So I love that it takes kind of that out too.
Yeah. And all of the options are really laid out for you, which I think is important, generally speaking, right? A lot of attorneys will leave out you could add a sunset clause. You could add a confidentiality clause. You could add a social media clause. They won't even bring that up. And so I think when relevant, these are options you should be presented with so that you, as the person who is entering into this contract with your future partner, can decide what's important to you.
It's actually funny that you mentioned that because I just remembered something, the confidentiality thing. Being a model, something that I have really prided myself in is I never did any nude modeling publicly. Of course, being married and being, traveling and stuff like that, I was a wife and I would do things to, make sure that my husband was happy and satisfied, even though I'm 8,000 miles away or something. So when we were going through the divorce, I wanted an NDA. He wouldn't sign it. He refused. And I'll never forget it. One of the big conversations I had with my dad was I had to say, hey, listen, I want to let you know there is a chance that pictures or videos of me could get out and could possibly be sent to you. You hear about people sending things to people's parents and stuff like that.
Skin crawl.
And he stopped me right in the middle and he goes, Ash, I'm going to tell you right now, there is nothing you can do in this life that I would not be proud of you for. You were a wife and you did something for your husband. If your husband decides to break that and share it with somebody else and it were somehow to get sent to me, that is not on you. And that kind of like rewired my brain a little bit as to, because I was blaming myself. A lot of people are like, well, if you don't want them out there, then don't take them. Well, I was trying to do what I thought I had to do as a wife. And, you mentioning the confidentiality clause, like, God, that would have just made my life so much easier because I 100% would have had an NDA in there. There are things that he knows about me that don't need to be out. There are things that he has of me. I mean, in the divorce, it is said that he has to destroy any pictures that he has of me. am I going to go there and look through everything? No. So do I know? No, I only know by his word. His word don't really mean shit, so.
It's incredible when people say, well, if you don't want them out there, don't take them. Okay, society has such a double standard for women because if you don't, then.
But if a man sends if a man sends a dick pic, it's like, ooh, all right, like, bring it out. It's so frustrating because, I mean, one of my girlfriends, she was actually, I'll never forget it. There was someone who had hacked into her iCloud and started leaking her photos on Twitter. And she was pissed. And she was like, obviously very violated. But she was like, you know what? You couldn't even post the good ones. So here's one from right now. And it was like the sexiest thing I've ever seen. But it was like her way to change the narrative because it was like, how dare you? Like, it has to be someone's choice. And if you can't respect someone's choice, like, you need to like look at what's going on in your own world that is like preventing you from just having empathy like a normal fucking human being. Like, I get so angry about that because it's something that I've battled with for so long. Like, I get so much shit for being a lingerie model. Oh, you're showing your body to the world. Yeah. And is it affecting you? Is it affecting your mental health? Is it affecting your life? No. You don't like it? There's a little block button. Or you don't have to follow me. I am just a human being. I have a body. Why do we have to sexualize it? But
I agree.
Circling back.
I agree.
That's why, when we were talking about prenup should almost be mandatory because especially now with smartphones and things like that, you're gonna take nudes. Shit. Like, pretty sure I sent him one this morning when I was doing my hair. Like, hey, my boobies miss you. Like, you know what? I don't care because it's something that I love between us.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can have a confidentiality thing in there to protect you from that, like, it helps streamline things. You don't have to worry about it afterwards. Because I will tell you, I was so sick to my stomach, like, thinking about how am I going to tell my dad that he might have to come across his little girl, like, just titties out. Like,
just titties out. Where can listeners find you?
Oh, hey. Okay, come find me on everything. Ashley Alexiss is my full name. Alexiss is spelled with 2 S's because I have the extra oomph. But Ash Alexiss on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all the things. But yeah, come find me. I'm fun and I'm pretty personable. And like, if you have like questions like about prenup or wedding or grief, dog mom, all the things, I am more than happy to help because I love people and I love to help where I can. So.
And follow Ashley for updates about the prenup party.
Yes. Oh my God. The prenup party is going to be so much fun.
Ashley and Brodie, welcome. Are you ready to have some fun?
Let's do it.
All right. I have some quick fire questions for you. But before we get to those, I want you to tell the story of how you met.
Brodie was liking a bunch of my Instagram photos, and I got really ballsy, and I slid into his DMs, and I said, are you just going to like my photos, or are you going to fucking say hi? Yep. And he was like, okay. And then a few days later, we met at, like, the same bar, and...
End up meeting all my friends that night.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Like, literally all of them.
The whole friend group. The entire friend group.
You brought all your friends?
No, they end up actually just coming out that night.
No, yeah.
I'm like, here's
yeah,
all my friends.
It was nice. It was like, here's my baggage.
I love this. Everyone wanted to meet Ashley, let's be honest.
Yeah. And it was easy. I mean.
I don't know. It was like meant to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stop, because I'm going to cry again.
Quick fire questions. We're going to lighten the mood for a minute. Who's the messy one? Who said
I'm a girl.
Who said I love you first?
He almost crashed a car because of it.
I need that story.
I was fostering a dog at the time, and
drove down to Long Beach.
Yeah. And it was just like so sweet, like seeing like he wanted to make sure like I had time with the dog, and like while she was meeting her forever home, so he offered to drive. And it was like all these like emotions that were like mixed up in me. And he was just like, "Hey, what are you thinking?" And I was like, "Nothing." And like we were driving or something, and all of a sudden I was just like, "I love you." And he like slammed on the brakes. And he was like, "What?" He's like, "I love you too." And I was like, no, don't say it just because I said. He's like, no, I've wanted to say it. He's like, "I almost just fucking crashed." Like,
While we're driving down the freeway.
Yeah. Like, it was just like, it was word vomit. Like, I couldn't keep it in anymore. It was like, I was bursting at the seams.
So sweet. Who's more likely to start an argument? Who's the better communicator? Who's more financially cautious? Who proposed the prenup? Who's the more emotional one?
I need like all the hands. I need your hands too, Julia. Like, yeah.
Who has higher EQ? Who has higher IQ?
It depends. Because I'm really smart, but I'm also very, very dumb sometimes. And I feel like he's always on. Like where he knows his shit.
Sometimes.
Who's more of an animal lover?
Although every time like I pass like a baby goat or like a fluffy cow or something, he's like, "Babe, we need those."
Who's more of a risk taker?
I think both of us. I think we both are, and I think that's like one of the ways that we're very similar, and it works really well for us.
Who's more entrepreneurial?
Yeah, I'd say both of us.
Yeah. Yeah. We both like nice things.
Who has better style?
Mm.
It's obvious.
I mean, the shoes are because of me. Like, I had to start getting him on a shoe game. Like, I need him to wear red bottoms. That's all I ever wear. This is like the one time that I'm not. Just because these are so pretty. They're my bridal shoes.
I love it.
She's always like, "Oh, I have nothing to wear," and her closet's just like 80 pairs.
Louboutins.
Like 80 pairs.
I love it. I want to see your closet.
Honestly, my whole philosophy is there is no point in being the richest bitch in the cemetery, so let me spend my money while I'm here.
There you go. All right. Well, Ashley, this has been a really informative, really special conversation. I appreciate so much you being such an open book, be so willing to share these really vulnerable moments in your life, and doing so for the benefit of everyone who's listening. So thank you for sharing.